And what's going on, guys? Kale here, coming at you with another video. This is part 3 in the new player guide. Essentially, I'm actually having to re-record this one, mainly because the first time I did the video, the audio kind of cut out midway through. So my apologies on that end. With that being said, though, let's jump right into it. For those of you that are new to the channel, I am an endgame player, currently with 4 accounts. We are on the newest account here, which is Caraxes. And in part 3 of the new player guide, we're just going to talk about the various kind of game modes and kind of just navigating this home screen and kind of what you're looking at. So first and foremost, challenges are going to be happening every day. And these are basically going to cycle throughout the standard week. So they basically will come, 3 times a week. And 2 of those times, it's going to be like 2 pairs. And then on Sunday, all of these challenges will show up for you that are the actual challenges. There's also going to be a third one here, which is, in this case, it's the original expertise, which this is the origin challenge. And what I mean by origin is there are basically 5 origin traits that kind of define a character, and that basically kind of determines the gear they use. So you have skill, you have tech, you have mystic, you have mutant, and you have bio. And these origin challenges are basically a way of helping you to farm that specific gear. Now, there is a bit of a requirement, however, to unlock this, and basically it requires ISO green level 3 for 5 of your skill characters, or 5 of your mystic characters, so on and so forth. So this isn't a high priority. Like, I wouldn't say jump out and make sure you, and for lack of a better word, we're going to call it green 3. Put green 3 on all of your skill characters, or your bio, mystic, etc. What I would say is focus on getting your raid teams, their ISO 8 built up, and probably organically, if you're building raid teams based off of origin trait, you're going to get those 5 characters anyway. So have a little patience with this one. It'll happen. And then basically, as you go up in these skill requirements, it is going to require, different things. So, this one requires green 3 or green ISO 8, green level 4. This one over here is going to require green 5, and this one requires blue level 2, and this is going to require blue level 3. And that's going to be basically, you're going to get access to that once you start getting into the Doom 3.0, actually, and even in Doom 1.0. So once you get access to Doom content, this stuff will become eventually farmable, but Origin gear is eventually going to be easily farmable. It's just be patient, focus on those Origin raid teams, and eventually you'll have access to this, and it'll make farming gear a lot easier. But while we are in here, we're going to talk the standard challenges, and basically they are some of the key resources in the game. It doesn't necessarily make for like this massive difference to be farming this, but it does help. You'll definitely notice if you're not farming the highest level, this type of materials, they basically slowly build up. So you're going to have one for gold, you'll have one for essentially your blitz refreshes, you'll have one for training mats, one for the ability enhancements, so basically how you are improving the talents. So T1s are the green ones, T2s are the blue ones, T3s are the purple ones, and T4s are the orange ones. The T4s are obviously the rarest, and eventually you're going to get to the point where you have an abundance of 1 through 3. Orb Fragments is basically how you are going to farm Red Star Orbs, and Catalyst of Change is going to be how you are farming your Catalysts. Now, Catalyst of Change, of the kind of gear type challenges you're doing, is probably the hardest based off of the characters required. But what I would recommend is basically whatever the highest tier you can complete, try to get 3 stars in that, because it'll make farming it on a daily basis easier. And eventually you'll kind of just see a slow influx of this materials. Now, I will say, in general, gold and training mats are probably the scarcest of the resources. And typically what will happen is if you have, say, an abundance of gold, you'll probably short training materials. If you have an abundance of training materials, you seem to have a shortage of gold. And it just seems to be the way Scopely controls the economy. So definitely challenges. Make sure you're three-starring your highest level content. Next little tab we're going to talk about is Arena, and Arena is going to be the primary way you are getting power cores free to play. This is a very important resource as power cores are finite, and unless you're whaling out or buying power core offers, Arena is going to be the primary way you're going to kind of gain power cores and eventually grow them. The way you're going to do this is basically you want to climb the Arena leaderboard. And honestly, the closest you can get to the top 100, the better off you're going to be. In a perfect world, if you are able to get in the 21 through 50 range, you'll be getting 200 power cores a day, which actually gives you a total refresh of what you'll be using on your daily campaign refreshes. So then any additional power cores you get from, say, milestones, etc., is just going to actually increase your stash. So what you're going to want to do here, at least probably in the earlier game, is you're probably just going to take in your 5 highest characters, and while you only are required to do 2 arena attacks a day to complete your daily objectives, I highly encourage, at least until you get to a point in the arena that you are happy with your standing, to try and do your 5 attacks throughout the day. And this will, again, help you climb. And at the early stage, you could probably go in with your 5 best characters and really not start worrying about arena meta characters until you're a little bit later on in the game and your roster's a little bit more developed. The other important thing to do, and something a lot of people forget to do, is actually to kind of keep an eye on your defense as well. Typically, what I do in the early game is I make sure my arena defense is the same as my attacking for offense. So if I change my offense, I make sure I go in and update my defense. Next game mode kind of panel on this that is fairly relevant is going to be your milestones. These are going to kind of switch up periodically. You are going to have, it looks like, month-long events seem to be the new way things are being done. So you'll have a month-long event, and then typically several events that tie into that. So in this case, the Gift Wrap Gala and Coordinate Assault tie in. The month-long events will be pretty consistent. Basically, it'll be several other milestones that have you collect a currency of some kind, as well as select items that get you points. Typically, from what I've been seeing, at least from an endgame perspective, the milestones are pretty easy to complete, free to play. However, for a newer player, it might be a little bit more challenging, so try not to get too discouraged if you're not able to full clear these month-long events. I would say in a typical fashion, if you are at least unlocking the month-long character, you're okay. Any bonus shards you then might get or any additional stuff, kind of just think of it as bonus stuff until you get to the later game. Gift Wrap Gala, I'm not going to go too much into this as this is just an event that ties in to the current month-long. The other thing you are having to watch out for, and it seems to be somewhat more common, is these what people are calling kind of whalestone events. And these are events where it's really not possible to progress through the milestones unless you're spending. And while there's absolutely nothing wrong with spending on the game, it is totally a personal choice. Don't get discouraged if you see an event like this and you're like, well, I can't do anything here, I'm not making any progress. Milestones like this are designed for whales. And if you're whaling, that's awesome. That's, again, it's a personal choice. It'll certainly help you progress through the game quite a bit faster, but it's not required. Of my 4 accounts, essentially 3 of them are free to play. The Caraxes obviously being the newest. The other 2 are in the 22 million range and in the 17 million range. Both are running Doom 3.4, which for the most part is the highest rating content available at the moment. So you're able to play, progress, and succeed at the game free to play. So just keep in mind, whalestones are whalestones, and if you're not whaling, just kind of think of them as these events don't matter. It's the easiest way I can put it. Coordinated Assault does seem to be kind of a thing of the future, and we are getting this event at least 2 times a month, and basically what you do is by spending your ISO 8 campaign energy, you are making progress through this milestone. Now, unless the entire Alliance is putting in their 4 refreshes a day, getting to this last milestone is pretty challenging. Again, this is kind of more of an endgame focused milestone. We'll obviously do the best we can, but again, try not to get too discouraged if we are not completing these milestones from the get-go. Now, some milestones that are going to be kind of more staples and you will see kind of all the time is going to be Gold Opportunity, the 2 Spend Campaign Energy milestones, as well as the Alliance milestone. Now, the Gold milestone, again, you want to kind of keep an eye on your gold. You don't want to be blowing too much gold on a daily basis. However, if you are able, based off of what you have training mats, etc., if you can get to around milestone 7, that is going to give you a fairly decent influx of power cores, as well as some decent like orbs. You'll get blue radiator gear orbs, you'll get milestone 3 orbs, you'll get these gear credits, which is good for basically farming purple gear. We talked about that in a previous video, and like I said, you'll be getting power cores essentially free to play. So kind of shoot for around milestone 7 if you're able. If you're not able to kind of spend, it's basically spending about a little over 1 million gold a day, don't worry about it. Just basically spend as you normally would. I wouldn't say just spend the gold for the sake of getting these 15 power cores, because that's not worth it. But I wouldn't spend too much over this milestone, and that'll kind of keep your gold at a decent level. Next one, the next 2 are pretty self-explanatory. They're going to be basically spending your campaign energy. You're basically just going to be getting kind of gear stuff. So you'll get T2s, you get T3s, you get some catalysts. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory here. Just spend as much campaign energy as you can. Typically, I would say you spend close to about a little over 900 campaign energy a day if you're doing your 4 refreshes, as well as getting the free energy you get throughout the day. And again, this is just kind of another version of it. You're getting power cores as well. Again, ideally, if you can get close to milestone 13, you'll be in a good spot because you'll again be building that stash of power cores. Last one is going to be the Alliance-related one, and this is basically a week-long milestone, and the goal eventually is to be able to full clear all of these. It is fairly simple once the Alliance gets rolling, and the way you're actually going to get points for this, by doing your 5 arena attacks a day, win or lose, doing your 10 attacks in war, battling in raids, you should be doing probably at least 10 raid attacks a day, and then basically doing blitz wins will get you some points as well. And this is basically going to be kind of a way, especially later on, to start kind of stockpiling your T4s. So that is the milestone tabs. These are obviously going to periodically change, and they do vary from milestone to milestone. Other tab over here is the events tab, and you're going to see a couple things. Legendary events will be happening periodically, and there are some permanent legendaries, so like Iron Man, Nick Fury, Shuri, Star-Lord, Invisible Woman, and Magneto are all permanent legendaries. Honestly, I would say as far as ones that are really worth it at this point in the game, Iron Man, Shuri, and probably Magneto. And that's just going to be because of the various game modes. You'll also see occasionally, once a month, certain events do pop up as well. So you will have events like this, which is Back to Boot Camp. This is an event that's going to pop up that'll get you bonus training materials. There's also one for the T4s. There's one for gold. There's one for dark promotion credits. And there is also one for elite credits as well. Elite credits, and that'll be the Wakandan one. Also now, periodically, we do have Scourges popping up, and even as a lower player, like even with Caraxes, I was able to do difficulty 1. So at least, at the very least, try difficulty 1 if you're able. That should get you about 100,000 points, which will at least get you 40 shards of the character. In that case, it would take you essentially 3 runs of the Scourge coming back to unlock the character. But periodically check out the events tab. This orb tab, pretty self-explanatory, you basically just open it. Campaigns we talked about. Blitz is the next one, and blitzing, you are going to want to blitz as much as possible throughout the day. It is incredibly annoying. It is probably the worst game mode in the game. But what you can do, you can save 15 blitz squads, which will make things go a little bit faster. And basically, once you put together a team, you hit this little button here and it'll save them. Based off of your level, this eventually does get expanded up until, I believe, 50 save squads, even though there's only currently 44. But 15 is the starter. So basically what I do throughout the day is I will go through and I will do all 15 of my characters, and then once you've done all 15 of those, chances are you still have a lot of characters left on your roster that you haven't used. So if you go in and you press the not on cooldown, which I haven't done a rotation yet, but it'll show you all the characters that aren't on cooldown. And then you can basically just kind of go through and you basically click and you can do a rotation that way. And that kind of maximizes your blitzing. Doing this is going to get you an abundance of these Blitz credits, so you can start farming those Blitz characters faster, as well as whatever character is currently in the Blitz event, you're going to get more shards of. And that's only going to help improve your roster. Next mode that we are going to talk about is going to be... Well, we'll kind of go over here to the Alliance donations. You definitely want to make sure you are donating daily, and once you do donate, please make sure you're staying on top of your Stark Tech. When you're doing your Stark Tech, I typically go with the raid team that I am currently using. So in my case, I'm using Tech, so I will start working on my Tech. Keep in mind, we are a newer alliance, so this is going to cap, and you'll see here, like, I can't add any more skills until the alliance is level 4. And we are going to get levels by doing those donations. Other game modes, Cosmic Crucible and War we talked about in the next video, and then Alliance raiding, again, something we're going to be doing on a daily basis, and basically you just want to follow your raid teams, complete as much as you can. We could certainly do a more in-depth raid video if y'all are interested, but that is just kind of a quick rundown of these different tabs. Eventually we will gain access to Alliance War, as well as Real-Time Arena, and then also for players that are level 65 and higher, you'll gain access to Epic Campaigns or the Dark Dimensions. And once I do get to level 65 on Caraxes, I will talk about that as well. But that is going to be video 3, so I hope you did find this video helpful. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. Be sure to check out the rest of the videos in the new player guide. Hope you're having a good week. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.